we talk Misner and then add a little reading Rainbow? You don't have to take our word for it.
Well, I think we should.
All right.
We'll
So
look at that.
do you want to give the intro? It's not usually your purview.
It's been so long since we've done this. I don't remember.
I know, it's amazing. But we're back, which is a nice thing.
We are back by popular demand, which is actually pretty cool that we've actually had people complaining that it's nice to be complained about.
It's nice to be missed.
It is nice to be missed. People are actually upset that it took us so long to get these back up. And um
Well,
we've
in the
just
interim, we should also take a moment, sorry,
no
uh,
go.
to acknowledge that we are part of the Darkcast Network, which is a
We
whole
are.
assortment of true crime podcasts, and we appreciate them for bringing us in under the wire, even though not all of our stories are crime and not all of our
True.
stories are have a sort of morbidity that you would expect with a network dedicated to true crime. So
True.
we thank them for joining us or allowing us to join their club.
True.
And I think on some of these wrap-up shows in the future, we will get some folks from other shows on the network to join us and talk about some of these stories. Some
Which
of
will
the
be
really,
fun.
yeah, and some of the darker ones. But even though if they're not as dark, they're still fascinating.
We hope. I mean, this is a
Well,
fascinating one.
I was gonna say, this is my segue into the first two episodes,
Yes.
and Wilson Misner. I can't believe, again, he's one of these people where I feel like in researching this, there's a lot of where we both go like, how is this person not better known?
I know. Well, especially because his world is so my world. Like this is the area that I like devoured as a kid.
Right,
Like
your Gold Rush history.
no, like the
Oh,
Hollywood later.
yes,
I mean, all the Hollywood. I mean, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Once it hit, like not the stage part, but once it hit the film side,
right.
all my jam. I mean,
And it's just so fascinating the whole, I mean, like one of the quotes that's attributed to him is the be nice to people on the way up, you'll meet them on the way.
yes,
That he said that, yet still
we,
swindled Sid Grauman
mhm.
before his success as a theater
Right,
entrepreneur
right.
in literal Hollywood,
And then
USA.
when we get to all of the things surrounding his last words, those have all been pieces of that have all been converted into many a quippy joke that you
Hmm.
hear day in, day out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, even the never give a sucker an even break.
Right.
The whole when you steal from many, it's research, not plagiarism, all of that stuff. And then I feel like I've also seen versions like in chintzy sign stores that like carry out your dead and no smoking
Yes.
out opium.
All of it. Like
It's amazing.
it's fascinating.
The fact that he got an Oscar winner roped into his real estate scams,
I know.
it's impressive.
Okay, and why don't we have a movie about him?
That's really, really true.
Like, why don't we make a movie about him? We
We
should
could,
make a movie
we
about him.
could, yes. And he ran the Brown Derby.
I know. Why isn't he popping up in other people's movies about other people?
Right. And even Irving Berlin couldn't pull it off. And it took Sondheim to come in and like, but again, like this is insane. And he's working with
It,
Michael Curtiz,
I know.
who did one or two films you probably have seen in his
Couple,
lifetime. One or yeah, just one,
you know,
few. Because one's not enough. He's got to do two,
of
at
course.
least.
But you know,
Um,
no, but
and
this
then
is a good one. Like, not that it's, I don't know, not that they're fun, but in the grand scheme of this is a fun one.
and there's some the closest one that I implore you not to look up is Harpo Marx's. Well,
Because
any of the Marx brothers, they have
right,
great last words,
right,
and his is as good as theirs.
yeah.
I mean, even the I want a priest, rabbi, and
Well, right,
that.
that's what I mean. Like, there, that is obviously they're usually walking into a bar later when you hear them
Exactly.
in jokes, but that's that. And the actual, I'm talking to your boss is the punchline to many a joke I've heard.
Right. I mean, it is a version of it's very, very close in relationship, maybe a cousin, maybe a second cousin to the priest, minister, and rabbi playing golf.
Right.
And
Exactly.
we throw the money up in the air and whatever God
Precisely.
wants, he keeps. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Um, it's amazing.
Right.
It's and just the fact that he is not better known is shocking.
Well, we're on our way to changing that, right?
I hope so, but
Hmm.
not enough that we can't profit from it because I feel like that is what I don't
He
want to
would
speak for the dead,
he would want
but
us to do.
kind of would probably.
Right. So,
Turnabout's fair play.
yeah.
And this is a fun one to start because it is not as morbid or sad as because last season I believe we started with Johnny Ace and maybe Ray Chapman, like
Yeah, we
two
remember.
truly depressing, sad stories of
Right.
lives cut short. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, Misner probably cut short simply because
Well,
you can imagine this going on, this grift going on for a while in one form
r-
or another.
right. No,
Um,
yeah. We had to lighten it up a little bit. It's summertime,
sure, everyone needs a good summer
summer death.
death. Yeah,
Pray
maybe.
for Hollywood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
Um,
like that.
no, and in putting the show together, I I don't know if our listeners found it funny, but I thought it was funny just playing Hooray for Hollywood again and again and again.
Right. Because
If I could have
it
added the
fits.
slow whir of the Victrola kind of as it started would be ideal, but
Yeah, I get the point.
yeah.
Tracks.
Um, and it's such a fascinating time in history. That's
It's
not,
my favorite.
it's very, and I mean, it makes sense when you think about how much both of us loved Babylon and talked about it endlessly.
And
And he
still
is,
we find ways to talk about it
and he's
continually.
very much a Babylon character,
Oh, completely.
which really we should get Damien Chazelle on the blower and be like,
We
dude,
should. Can we
you missed
please?
one. You missed one.
You forgot him.
Yeah.
We found why people didn't like it. Maybe everyone else knew about him and we missed it. We missed the boat.
Oh man.
I
But
know.
if you enjoyed this, I would say you can watch Gentlemen Prefer Blondes again.
Oh,
Because I
or I
feel
could
like
just perform it for you because
so
I
it's
know
available streaming
all
on
of it.
I don't know. I feel like July is the month to when it's like disgustingly hot out to go watch old movies in like a super cold
Yes,
room. I teaching, I we went over Rear Window last week.
of
And for me,
course.
that is the ultimate summer
Well, it
hot
is.
out, cold air
Of
conditioning.
course, because you can like you feel how hot it is in that movie.
Yeah. Um, which my favorite note that people have brought it up twice when I've taught this course, and this is an aside, but it's not because it fits in with all the old Hollywood stuff. After going over the whole MacGuffin thing with Hitchcock's
Hmm.
films, multiple people have said, and I have not read this anywhere else, isn't the murder a MacGuffin for the love story between Grace Kelly and Jimmy Stewart? It's the thing that brings them together, and it could be
True.
anything.
True.
And as I always say, when it comes to that intro shot of Grace Kelly leaning in, one, it's the greatest introduction of any character in film ever.
Yes.
And two,
Other than
we
Trip Fontaine.
okay, that's up there, certainly. Um, that's a good point. Yeah, but we should all be so lucky to be as photographed that well in
Oh
that
my God.
intro.
I mean, agreed. I would agree.
But it may seem like we're going off track here, but I feel like Misner is part of this world of sort of the glamorous Hollywood side of
Right.
things.
The right. My
At
Hollywood.
your Hollywood, not before we get to New Hollywood and
No.
Dennis Hopper naked in the street screaming at people for not listening to his vision.
I mean, still.
Someone's got to have a vision.
I mean, true.
Which have you heard that story
Mm-mm.
when they were shooting Easy Rider? So so much of it was shot like very cinema verite. We're just gonna and I believe at one point Peter Fonda and it might have been Jack Nicholson, it might have been Terry Southern, took the footage back to I think it was Colombia, and showed them some of the rough footage and were saying like that Hopper's insane. We can't work with this guy. And they just showed them like a clip of him screaming and yelling at all the crew and like, put the lights there. And I told you to do it this way and say it this way. And they screen this whole thing for the studio, and the head of the studio watches it and then looks at them and just goes, "What did he ask you to put the lights there?" And then they were like, "All right, fine, we'll go finish the movie." Um, just
That's
that, like,
hilarious.
yes, he's insane, but for some reason we gave him money to do this. So,
Wow.
um,
That's
again,
amazing.
and recently, and I don't remember what it was, but I keep coming back to Babylon, that scene with the cameraman in the box that
Uh-huh.
they're
That's
so after you listen to this show and you listen to the episodes, go watch Babylon or rewatch it,
yes.
or just
Yes.
come at it without all of the hype and controversy
Right.
surrounding it, and just enjoy it for its ridiculousness.
Yes. Just purely go for the ride.
Yes. So to turn to episode 2, I feel like
Yes.
this story has everything
It
you want
does.
you want in a good story. It has got some truly gruesome stuff in there.
It does.
It's got some great kind of bonus history that you kind
It
of learn by
does.
accident.
It could be
Um,
paranormal,
could
maybe.
be, yeah, and some truly excellent words of farewell.
Indeed.
So much that when I first read them, you kind of like type in the name of the person and hit search on Google and cross your fingers that the story is as good as the last words,
Hmm.
because I mean,
I
come on,
mean,
I will be in hell before you. I like, that's
well,
amazing.
right. And then there is a little bit of fear that as you say them or type them, like, I don't know, is some sort of Candyman situation or Bloody Mary situation going to emerge?
See, you think Candyman and Bloody Mary. I think Beetlejuice, which I don't know which one's worse.
Well, no, I love Beetlejuice
You want
because
the ghost with the most, right?
oh yeah, because Beetlejuice is awesome.
Right.
I mean,
Um,
Beetlejuice is a party.
yeah, he lived through the Black Plague 167 times and
Right.
keeps getting funnier.
I know. And I could
But
hang out
then,
with Danny Elfman, could play music, and Harry Belafonte, and I
don't
mean,
Howard Belafonte. Oh my God.
right, Tim Burton.
Catherine O'Hara. I mean,
I
all
mean,
your
it's everything,
favorites.
right,
Dick Cavett. I mean,
right. But does
um,
Winona narrate that one?
not the first one.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. The animated series
Right.
was, and we are going down paths that I
I
never
know.
thought I
I'm
would
so
ever
sorry.
even go
We'll
in
come
on
back.
this.
All right, let's go
Yes.
back because it's ruining the story.
Yes.
Um,
And then
yes.
the thing I love about Lavinia Fisher, it's got all of that stuff, great last words, everything. And
Mhm.
you reach the end of it and then go, wait, did it actually happen?
Right.
And
That's
is
what I
that
mean.
and is that better or worse?
I don't know because that's when you go, well, could it have been some otherworldly, or was it a, or was were they framed,
Or
or
somebody,
were,
yeah.
or was there some sort of demon
It's
possession situation? I
well,
don't know.
and also to hear the method with which they supposedly executed all these
Right.
people, it
Horrible.
but it sounds like some sort of H. Holmes stuff from
Yes.
Devil in the White. I mean, I feel like
Correct.
the shaft with the leading into the room with
Spikies.
spikes,
Yes.
that was one of the things that he did, I
Correct.
believe. And he actually
Yes.
did it. So
Correct. It's possible,
it's
but he
very
did it
possible.
much later.
Well, yeah, everyone, but always the women do it first, and then some white
I
dude rips it
know.
off and gets all the
Correct.
credit.
And takes
So,
it from them.
yeah.
I mean, but
Uh,
spikes have been around for centuries. So let's be
True.
honest. I mean, they've been doing that since the time began.
Right.
Just go visit a castle.
And the whole this
Spiky dungeons everywhere.
and the whole spike thing, it has a very giallo kind of vibe to it, which I love.
Hmm.
Um,
But why? Why? The other than just to rob them? Hence the
it
highway
seems extreme.
robbery?
The thing I always tell the children, because often the kids sit me down and say, "Father, tell us about a serial killer." And I say,
Yes.
"Kids, uh, I hold the contention that if you are smart enough, the vast majority of people, if you are smart enough to commit a crime and get away with it, you're probably also smart enough to know that the long-term repercussions of such actions are not beneficial.
True.
Health wise, mental stability, fiscal. There's just a lot
True.
of red tape
There's
on
a
the
lot of
other end.
stuff. There's also a little bit of a like Sweeney Todd have some pie, like
Oh yeah, definitely. There's definitely some mince pies in here.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I've heard the term like the 6 Mile House and 5 Mile House. I had no idea that's what it referenced.
I know.
Um, the fact that lynching, even if it was it might be more apocryphal and sort of uh, what do you call it when you make the thing? It's like a retro, when you make it an acronym after the fact it's been done.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's
Retro. Yeah,
retronym or something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
With like lynching as like, is that actually it or is it go
Right.
somewhere else? Um, and like it says in the script of the show, the fact that you would in lynching somebody, part of that involves signing them up for the army,
Right.
which sounds like a great plan in theory.
In theory, yes.
But then you look at season one with our Civil War general who was shot in the face, and his frustration with the situation was that everybody was running around scared. I feel like if you were conscribed into the army, your first instinct would be to get the hell out of there.
Correct.
So I don't know if you would really want, there are no atheists in foxholes and all of that. It, Sometimes the atheist has gotten out of the foxhole and
Right.
left your ass there to just
Right.
take fire.
Yeah.
Um, did they just not think it through?
Not sure.
Do you think there's one guy in the back just be like, Steve, quick question. If we take this guy and do this, is this gonna be it? Oh, I'll shut up. No
Right.
problem. Yeah, like
Right.
we're all
I don't
doing
know.
this. All right.
I
Okay.
guess that's
You
the
do
plan.
you. Right.
Yeah. We're all in it now.
Yeah. And then the fact on top of all of this, and you know how I feel about ghosts.
I do.
Uh, I'm open to uh, conversing,
Right.
but none of them have reached out.
I know.
I love it in theory. Practicality is another matter.
I know.
But if there's anyone ripe for haunting by Lavinia Fisher, seems like it would be all the people who are now making money off of. She really should be
Okay.
haunting the city.
I agree.
The
But the city is so full of ghosts. So it's kind of like, how is she gonna get it worded? There's so many of them.
Yeah, but look what they did to her.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying they did a lot of crap to a lot of people in that city.
Right. And I'm sure
She's got to take a number. It's probably a lot like Beetlejuice.
that's true.
Sit and take a number.
But great, she's just sitting next to a guy with a very small head.
Yes.
But if anyone was going to have a grievance, and I'm not trying to imply that she is the only person that South Carolina, I believe, one of
Hmm.
the Carolinas,
South.
that they uh, accidentally put a wrongly accused person to death. She is not the only one into that. When you
No,
when you draw that category or that Venn
this is what I
diagram up on
mean.
paper,
It's a
um,
very busy city.
but seeing the fact that her grievances seemingly can run several hundred years at this point,
Mhm.
like not only was she perhaps or most likely killed under dubious circumstances to begin with, they've then been impugning her name for the next 200 years.
Right.
So if you're going to be miffed about getting kind of the proverbial short shaft,
Hmm.
short end of the stick, it would be somebody who is just continually. I mean, and they're putting her bones on display. Like
Right.
she has a list of folks that she needs to go haunt, certainly,
For sure.
but also it's the longevity of it. Most people, if they're persecuted incorrectly and charged with something that is not their doing, or like season one with Sarah Good, inadvertently gets swept up in some sort of hysteria.
Correct.
There is at some point some sort of atoning from the party who thought they had a grievance with this person.
Hmm.
I feel like Salem has done I mean, they've made some coin off of it too. Let's not
Right.
do that. But they've also made a pretty good, I think, attempt to be like, okay, that was on us.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Those hangings, accidental
For
stonings, and
sure.
drownings,
Yes.
okay, are bad.
Yeah, like, yeah, we were kind of out of our minds for a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Oops.
Or as I've been saying more and more recently, uh, that's a MP, not a YP.
Right.
Whereas here, I feel like the city hasn't completely come to grips with that,
I
or
don't
like,
know that they ever will,
well, because it's again, if ghosts are not a thing, which I'm sure all of
but
our
they are.
listeners on the Darkcast network are loving to hear me be like, having us come on and at least one of us be like, I don't know, this is all a little.
But they are.
Um,
But one of us is like, but
thank
they're
God we have you here to be the
right.
voice of reason.
Yes, exactly.
But again, if this were all happening, I feel like she has, of any ghost story that we have read, she definitely has some good, she has some good points, some valid concerns.
Right. Very valid concerns.
And I think, I mean, this is not to say that Sally Bassett or, and we just spoke with somebody recently about Mary Blandy,
Yes,
who had a very interesting case that
she did.
proffered that we had completely misread her final words.
I know, which I found very interesting.
And Mary Blandy, for those of you who haven't listened yet, and we really think you should, or just go back and re-listen. Hell, it's 10
Hmm.
minutes.
Right.
She was the one that was concerned about everybody looking up her dress after she had been hanged.
Hmm.
And this person suggested that perhaps uh, that was her only concern. It was
Right.
not that it's an easy out to assume woman misled by love of the wrong man, and
Right.
and that person is innocent in all of their travails thereafter. She said perhaps she did murder everybody, did do all this stuff, but just still was like, hey, can you not look at my dress while I'm swinging up there?
Right. Yeah.
As Robert Plant would have said, swinging on the gallows pole.
Hmm.
Full circle,
Exactly.
right
Full
back.
circle. Look at that. It all comes back to Robert Plant.
So yeah, this is I want to say this is one of my favorites, but I think this season there's a lot of favorites.
There's a lot of good ones this season. I mean, we had a lot of good ones last season, but we really found some good ones, like some deep cuts
Yes.
this season.
And maybe it's because we felt like there are there's certain gimmies you got to do.
Right.
You have to do JFK. You have to do Isadora Duncan. And there are a few others that as soon as you hear them, you go, well, that's in there.
Well, we have millions of people we can do. There's years and years of people we can do.
And would you say people are
We're never going to run out of material.
they're dying to be included on
Yeah, people are dying to be included on this show. People are dying to be on this show for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us again. If you
Yes.
have been sent here by friend or foe, please leave us a review. Please
Mhm.
pass along the good or bad tidings to those in your life that we would love to have them join us.
Yes.
And I don't know about next week, but at least the following week, I think we're going to try to get someone from one of the other shows on here to talk with us. I'm
Oh
hoping it's one of the
boy.
folks from Murder and Mimosas, just because
We can do
I
mimosas.
I think you would, not like you need an excuse, but
Why not?
it's a good, yeah, kind of when in Rome. Um, but we'll see what else we can find, and maybe we're
I'm
in Rome and
down for
maybe
that.
not.
I mean,
So
yes.
so thank you so much for coming back with us.
Yes. Please
We're
come
gonna
again.
have, yes, exactly. I think we're gonna have about 10 or 12 more of these coming.
I like it. More
So
the merrier.
more the merrier. And I have found, and it's not just because I like hearing the sound of my own voice,
But you
which
do.
eh, guilty as charged.
Hmm.
It is nice to kind of go back to some of these again and
It
re-listen and
is.
hear the story, hear what you might have missed. And like our friend who suggested we misread Miss Blandy, uh, perhaps there's another viewpoint.
I know. And we like that too. Like we love it when our listeners share with us their viewpoints or ideas or things that they gathered from it, or
Yes,
if they've heard a different interpretation, or some of our more famous stories, some of them, there are different tellings where the ends might be slightly different. So
yes.
let us know.
And I think we should end the way we ended season one, which is the perfect confluence of the show and all the things we were just discussing about telling a friend if you have a different take, sharing it with us by simply saying, you don't have to take our word for it.